Continuing our UF design tutorial, we're now moving on to the additional setting screens. These are settings that most of the time you don't touch, but it's useful to know where they are because you can make improved accuracy in your calculations by coming to the additional setting screens. For example, we have, what's your pressure drop in your piping under various conditions. We have default values in here. Once you've designed your system and you've calculated how many feet of piping you have at what size, you can calculate the actual pressure drop you're going to have, and then you could input those actual pressure drops you calculated outside of WAVE and add them to this section of the table to get more accurate pumping energy calculations. This bottom section is if you have run a pilot on your water and you know how fast the pressure increases between cleanings, you could enter the rate of increase of pressure across the membrane. So, but normally this requires that you have run a pilot plant. So if you have the data, you can put it here. It would generate sort of a sawtooth in pressure that's removed when you do the cleaning. Gives you a more accurate pressure versus time calculation, so you get more accurate energy calculations. For sizing your chemical tanks, normally we default that your chemical tank will have enough volume for 30 days. You can pick whatever volume number you want. Various tanks. So we recommend right now that the backwash plus filtrate tank we'll do a calculation, and then you can put in a safety factor greater than what we calculate to size your tanks. Over here, there's some miscellaneous timings. The one most people knowing how quick and slow your valves turn, we take into account the valve turning duration when we calculate the total length of cleaning protocol. So if you have very quick valves or very slow valves, you could enter the time it takes the valve to do a complete open or close cycle, and that will give you slightly more accurate duration and results. Same thing if you put in a wait step at the end of a cleaning, at the end of a filtration cycle before you do the cleaning, you could add that. And if you wanted to try to take into account how fast your pumps come up and down from speed, you could enter a ramp here. So these would slightly affect the duration of each of the cleaning cycles, which has a slight impact on your water recovery and your uptime. But most of the time, as I said, most of the time people just use the default values here unless you've going into deeper engineering.